a few points before we begin the presentation. Only today's presenter will be audible during the presentation. This webinar will be approximately 45 minutes with 15 minutes for questions. You may submit a question by typing it into the questions pane on the control panel. If you are disconnected during the webinar and you cannot reconnect independently, you can call the office at 518-723-2137. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be archived at nyctecenter.org. If you have questions or comments regarding today's webinar or upcoming webinars, you may email us at ctepac@spnet.us.
Hello, everybody. This is Sue Gubing. Thank you for registering and logging into Unpacking the Career Plan and the Employability Skills Profile. It's a wet, rainy day here on Long Island. I hope it may be better weather where you are, but if it's not, I hope to give you some sunshine with some of the resources and ideas I'm going to share with you today. First, I'd like to say hello to all my work experience coordinators friends around the state and to my new friends in the special education teaching area, and of course both my former Buffalo State students who have taken the 2 work-based learning certification courses and those that are presently just finishing up a course right now in December. Thank you for joining me, and I'm really excited this afternoon to share with you some new concepts, some new idea about how to deliver that career plan and the employability skills profile. Our goal is going to be to discuss creative activities which will generate data for these documents, validate the knowledge and skills needed to interpret these documents, make the connection between the employability skill profile and the work-based learning training plan, identify the needed indicators to determine if the student trainee is ready to work, and to connect these 2 documents to the student's resume and communications for employment and or post-secondary action. At the end of this webinar, I hope you will feel confident that you understand the creation and use of these forms, and you'll be ready to move forward. My comments are certainly for all the people who are very interested in delivering the CDOS commencement credential, but it's also very valid and very useful for all those individuals who want their students to have a career plan. So we're going to move forward. Here we go. First of all, the career plan and the employability skills profile is a validation of achievement. The career plan should answer the question, where am I going? The employability skills profile, am I ready to work? So when we think about those documents, we have to keep in our mind, why are they filling them out? Why are we using them? How will they be used from the time they start filling them out? So some questions that we hope to answer during this afternoon is there a need for these documents? I think that's quite obvious that it would be good for all individuals to have a career plan, to know where they're going and to know what skills they have for future employment. Who needs it? Probably, most likely, our students as well as adults. Who wants it? That's a good question. And when I look at the plans, I said to myself, you know, we need to make this something that someone wants to go back to and be happy and be enthusiastic about completing this plan. So you're going to see something new in this case. Who completes it? Is it only going to be the student writing on it? Will it be the teacher or a counselor filling in? Will it be an employer? Would it be a counselor? We'll need to discuss that. When is it completed? Is it only a once-a-year activity? Or could it really be something that could be done every 10 weeks? Is it graded? Who reviews it? Who's going to see it? What format does it come in? Right now we have a paper document from the state as a suggested document, but it can also come in other formats. It could be online, it could be digital, it could be a Word document. Does the student take the documents upon exiting? I know there's nothing worse than the feeling when a teacher works so hard and they create something that is great material and you give it to the student and then they leave the classroom with the material left behind. So we want to make sure that the hard work we put into the career plan and the employability skills profile is something the students are going to say, I need to take this with me. This has information on it that I could use for my career. So that's how I'm looking at this afternoon. I had asked the CTAC Center to send you some of the documents that we're going to be looking at today ahead of time, and I hope if you had a chance to print them out, that would be good. You'll see them on the screen, but I just thought that maybe if you had them in your hands ahead of time, you'll be able to look at it and see a little bit more of the material. The purpose of the documents, well, if you can't use the document, then why create it? So we have to make sure that our students want to use the documents as well as teachers and employers. It should document achievement of how they're doing. We should see their growth. It should prepare them for the job interview, writing a resume, possibly post-secondary education, and certainly information that should go into their e-portfolio. I like to refer to that as workforce capital, is that our students should leave the school building with information about themselves and information about where they can go so that they are armed with this information, this intelligence that they can use to make good, sound decisions. Today, everyone travels with statistics, and by that I mean it seems that you just can't say, well, I like something or I feel this way, but when you're responding, when you're writing, you need to be able to document with date, time, percentages, the impact of what you've done. So you're going to see this as we move forward, how students will start to create statistics about their performance. So the first thing I did in looking at the career plan, in my mind I said, this is a career plan, but even more so, it's a GPS career plan. If you've taken my courses and you know who I am, I usually like to rename things so that they sound like they're being marketed to people. And I think to students, they will relate to GPS because they know it's in cars, they know it's a position of where you're going, and I think adding those 3 letters in front may just add a little excitement to what we're doing. It's a pathway to a destination. We're taking them from their past, present, to their future. It could be one packet of 4 pages, or it could be individual sheets. It could be on a website. The reviewers could be students, teachers, parents. In fact, everyone should be involved in the creation of the career plan and the completion of the career plan. And then, of course, in today's world, I think digital is probably the #1 way I would suggest to move forward, and I'm going to show you how we can do that in a Word document format. The career plan should be informative and require action, something that needs to be done so the student will come back to indicate if the action has been completed. It could include goals at the beginning of the year, results at the end of the year. Maybe it should be more than twice a year. Maybe it could be every 10 weeks. Actions to move forward. And here's something very interesting that I never really thought about this until I had the opportunity to hear Dr. James Stone at a conference recently. And he referred to that the career plan is not just a 4-year plan that ends upon the end of 12th grade, but it should be a rolling plan that goes longer than 4 years. So maybe the initial plan starts out as 4 years as a 9th grader, but when you move to 10th grade, your plan now needs to go to the first year after graduation, the second year after graduation, because our lives don't just end at that point. We are moving forward. So we need to think about how can we project in this plan where the student should be. And I think I'll have an opportunity to show you that also. Oh, I'm sorry, I think I went the wrong way. Here we go. This is the suggested career plan from the New York State Department of Education that came out when the new CDOS credential information came out. It's a good career plan. It has asked all the right questions. I wanted to show you this plan and then show you how we can really enhance it. I want to be able to unpack this plan with you and show what preparation do we need to do to answer the questions on the career plan. What is the process? What are the resources do we need, and what action should we take? So on this suggested plan is personal data, of course, and I know that they have the student name and they use the student identification number, and in today's world that's a number probably assigned by the school district. It's not a Social Security number. We should not be taking that information from students because that's an important part of their identity. Their school name, of course. There's a section on when will this be reviewed, who will review it, possible participants, it's in there. And then there's knowledge, first section of, well, who am I? And so there's a section here of what activities do you enjoy out of school? What are your classes and subjects that you enjoy the most? What are your work preferences? Do you prefer working with people, data, ideas, and things? These are all great questions. The question mark that was in my head as I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about, am I sitting with the student and I'm counseling this individual, where is the student going to come with the information? Is this just going to be question and answer, and in their head they'll say, well, I think I like this, or I like this after school? You know, where does it come from? Where's the basis for us to make decisions about their future? So I'm going to address that section in my new plan with you. Second area, list your personal skills and talents that will be helpful in a career choice. Great question. An area to answer these questions. Again, I'm thinking now, are we just pulling the answers out of the air? Where's the basis? What information do we want from the student that has a connection to the career decision-making process? And then the same with personal and academic areas I need to strengthen. I'm going to show you something on how to handle that. The career plan, where am I going? That's what we're talking about. It's GPS. What experiences have you had with school and community? What work experience have you had? What skills are you acquiring through all of this? All of this is great information to gather with the purpose of it being used in some other activities. Careers of interest and characteristics. I'm interested in the following careers. My question in my mind was, well, on what basis did you choose that career? Does that career match any of your own interest assessments? Where is the results from those interest assessments? Future goals, decision making, how do I get there? Good question. We need to know, what are your goals? Can we project your goals? How are you going to get there? What's the education plan? All right? What do you need to do? What are the action steps? So a lot of good questions, not too much space to write in. And I think that concerned me a little bit, is that whether someone's trying to type in this or write in this, somehow probably it's going to have to be revised so that you can get the information into the plan. And then there's a section on skills application. What do I need to know? What skills are important to me? What am I learning? Why am I learning it? How can I use it? Great questions. A little concerned that it's a check-off list. There is an area here for indicating some applications, which is very important. We're going to address this because this is an important concept. Students need to be ready to be able to recall information that has happened over the school year that would go into this activity. Here's the second page to it, listing all the skills that our employers want. These are the 21st century skills that employers look for first. And then I love this last question, culminating activity. What project did you complete that you are most proud of? Tell us about this project. Well, all of these questions, all of this information that we're putting into a career plan To me, I see it as going to two particular destinations. One, definitely in a job interview. There's a lot of job interview questions that are related to that information. The second area is the resume. And if you have seen any of my presentations before or in my classes, you've seen the CDOS resume that I've created. This is a new resume format that I like to call the 21st century resume. This format that we're looking at really stresses the skills and abilities employers want. For example, the communication skills, teamwork and leadership, time management, technology, vocabulary, creativity. Sections called learning from the experts, work experiences, and a little badge down here that I'm all going to address all these different areas with you. Next to these concepts or tabs are statements that students have created from their classroom activities. For example, communications. Presented a 10-minute sales presentation to my English class for the purpose of persuading the class to purchase a product. Teamwork and leadership. Member of a 4-member team in the preparation of the annual Career Day event. Responsibilities included setting up room, greeting visitors, preparing refreshments, making copies. These are activities that the students will do over the 4 years of high school, but we never really ask them to write them down. When it comes to the resume, and I sometimes refer to it as the 20th century resume, we ask them to list their courses, list their clubs, list their teams. Everything's a list with very little statements, statistics, and activities. I have shared this type of resume, the 21st century resume, with many of the members of the Society of Human Resources in New York State, the Professional Association for Human Resource People, and they have told me they prefer something that validates the skills they are looking for rather than a simple list of this, 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 and this. I'll bring this resume up again as we move forward with the career plan. So here it is. I've showed you what we've had a suggestion from the state, and I think all their questions are great. What I want to do is I want to unpack it in a new dynamic way to make it exciting for the student so that he or she will feel like they want to go back to it several times during the year. My format is in a Word document, and I am sharing this Word document with everybody on the webinar. It's for you. Anyone who wants to email me if they have not seen this or want to get a copy, this is for all of us to use. This document will allow you to add or delete whatever you would like. I'm going to give you a lot of suggestions, but you can change it. You don't have to use exactly the 100% of this document. You can make it fit your situation. It's transparent in that if it's a Word document, how I visualize this happening in a school system is that we have in many of our schools a public drive for students to save their materials on. Teachers have their own drives. If it's a Word document and it's saved, it can be easily shared with all the teachers that are working with these students so they can see where they are with the career plan. They could also possibly contribute to the career plan. So we're moving from something that may be a paper document in a folder in a file cabinet where we don't pull it out or we only pull it out once a year to something that could be alive and online and that others could help the students contribute to it. And I think that's the important part because as we were trying to answer those questions before, we don't want the students pulling answers out of the air. We want them to be able to document and say, I know I've done this in English. I know I've done this in social studies. These are the answers to the questions. So I think it's a team effort. It possibly, maybe one individual in your building will be the person in charge to do career plans. And it will be you that will have to work with the student in completing this. I would hope that it is one individual, that you reach out to the staff and let them see what you're working with and see if it can become a team effort, because a team effort will make this document more important for everybody as well as the student. And the last thing is it's transportable. The student can take it with them. They have the smart drives that they could save it on. They could put it on their own home computer. They could attach it to their smartphones and travel with their career plan anytime they want, and probably even input information. So now I'm going to switch over to, from my PowerPoint to a Word. This is the actual Word document, and this is the document that if you had a chance to print it out ahead of time, you have it in your hands. So number one, what do you see that's different than what we were looking at before? If I could hear you speak to me, probably the number one thing is you would say it has a picture on it. We see a picture of Mario, right? If a student is going to embrace this, he or she has to feel like it belongs to him or her. So I strongly recommend put Mario's picture on there. I almost added little things next to GPS career plan, a little car moving across the top. It's okay. If the student wants to dress it up, change some colors or whatever, let them do it. It's their plan, and you want them to feel proud of it. In the GPS career plan and Mario's name, as well on the bottom of the document, the name of the high school, the date, and the number of pages, of total pages. This information is in the heading and in the footer. So this will appear on every single page. If you set the footer up correctly, every time somebody updates this career plan, the date will change with the latest update date. So you have that. And also you can have a numbering system in which it would say page 1 of page 5 or 6. Now I don't want you to get overwhelmed that if you're holding the document, you have maybe 10 pages in your hand. So I moved you from a 4-page document that was suggested to a 10-page document. Just don't worry, feel comfortable that you can eliminate, delete, or you may even find that you want to make this document even bigger. So now I've taken the career plan, exiting high school or graduation, the anticipated year, student ID number, not the Social Security number, a 6-year plan for career success. So it's going to be a rolling plan that there's going to be information here for the student to look forward to. I had a sentence in the middle here, but I took it out, but maybe I should have left it in. I had the sentence was, if I remember correctly, how to make $250,000 by age 25. And why I put that in there is that I think when you talk about money and when you talk about a goal that a student may want to achieve, if a student could make $250,000 by the age 25, they would be certainly interested in what they should be doing in this career plan from grades 9 through 12 and after that. If I did my math correctly, you'll see as we move along how this comes about. So we have components, and these are the same components that you saw in the other career plan. I have just enhanced them and given more space for answers. Our first component will be who am I? 2 is what do I know? What do I want to learn? Number 3 is what I'm proud of. That one I added a little bit different. Number 4, what careers do I want to explore? Work experience I have had. What skills do I have for employment? Where am I going? What documents do I need? And look at this number 9, presentation of GPS career plan to principal. We will talk about that. Section number 10, resources that I will need to do all these things for these different areas. So what we're going to do is we are going to connect career plans to career success. We're going to take assessments that lead to actions, that lead to career choices, which will link to job interviews, resumes, post-secondary decisions. All right, so I put it in my mind how all of this was going to transpire as we go along and make it important for the student. Step number 1, Mario needs to know who he is. And by that, he needs the answer to 2 extremely important assessments that we should be giving to our students from grade 8, which I know is given in family and consumer science classes, and given over again several times throughout grade 12. Because I do know when they get to their first year of college, they give them the assessment, and it's the same assessment that relates to Dr. John Holland's code. First assessment is, what is your 3 strongest interest areas? This assessment that you need to do with this, you can find it on New York State Career Zone. You can find it on ONET. You'll get that address later on. There are paper additions to this. I have a booklet out that I use in my work-based learning classes, Discover Your Career DNA, and I coined that DNA as your dynamic natural abilities. I'll be happy to send that booklet. It's a 36-page booklet that you could use for these assessments, because I have several of these assessments in there. You want them not to take just one of the assessments, but you want to have them take a couple over a period of time. Because what they're going to do is they're going to list their priority order of interest that they would record 1 through 6, indicating which is their highest interest. For example, I know I am social, enterprise, and conventional, so I'd be putting 1, 2, 3, and probably after that I'm 4, 5, 6. I would put my answer in there. Why we want those answers in there is because this is the connectivity to choosing careers, high school courses, clubs, college majors, or whatever training they're going to do upon leaving high school. The second most important assessment we need to give to our students is the one called the Career Cluster Inventory. And here's the URL at the bottom of the page, and you can access this Career Cluster Inventory, and it is the 16 career clusters that everyone uses across the United States. By taking this simple assessment, they now will be able to prioritize their highest interest of clusters. For example, we have agriculture, food, and natural resources, architect and construction, arts and AV technology, business management. Why do we want to know the answer to this as well as the DNA? Because there are 2 decisions our students will need to make. Decision number 1 is which job title or career field or area they're going to, and the DNA will help them do that. But the second question is, what industry do you want to be working in performing that job title? Good example is if you wanted to become an accountant. There's a difference in the job of being an accountant in a school district, in a manufacturing firm, or an accountant for the New York Jets. The environment changes, the hours of work changes, the days of work, the clothes you wear, the travel you must do. So many times I will talk to college grads and they'll say, why did I study accounting? I hate it. And I said, well, where did you end up? In the insurance industry. Well, maybe it wasn't insurance that you wanted to be in. Maybe it was hospitality. So it's really important for our students to know the 16 career industries and what's in each of them, and what their DNA is. Most important. So if we know that, we then can move on to section number 2. What do I know? What do I want to learn? And in this section, by answering these questions, they actually are answers to job interview questions. In an interview, our student could be asked, what is your favorite subject? What did you learn? You'll be surprised how many of our students will become very silent about what's your favorite subject. And if they finally get an answer, phys ed usually seems to be the answer that comes out, or lunch. Right? We need our students to be prepared to talk about the courses that they like. Just with the same question in the other career plan, just I'm laying it out a little bit differently. in addition to talking about your subject and what you learned, you should also be able to relate it to the 21st century skills. And this is a little sample of how I showed you on the resume how this could happen. We have here, let's see if I can make this larger for myself. Okay. I'm giving examples on my form on how to do this. Certainly you could eliminate the examples to give you more room on the page. 21st century skills, communications. In my English class, there's the sentence, presented a 10-minute sales presentation for my English class. Technology. In my Intro to Computers class, capable of using Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and the Internet to produce business documents. Business vocabulary. In marketing, familiar with the terms. Time management. In social studies, successfully completed several academic projects throughout the school year in which I met deadlines for research, written reports, and presentations. Now, the question is how do we get our students to start thinking this way about what's happening 8 or 9 periods during the school day, 180 days a year? How could they start to record this or relate to this? The answer is a team effort. We need our staff, our faculty that are working with the students that we're talking about to be part of this, and that as they present a new unit of whatever they're going to talk about, if it's reading a new book, if it's a new era in American history, if it's something in math, they should inform the students that what we're doing here is strengthening the particular 21st century skill, whatever it may be. So the teachers need to know what skills, and they need to help the students translate in sentences what the outcome of the project is. So actually you may even want your teachers to, when they start new units, to present the material with 1 or 2 sentences of this is what's going to happen. Students should write that down. Teachers could submit this to you at some time maybe, or students would bring this information with them when they're ready to do the career plan, or possibly the classroom teacher would complete this page with the students. So here's the sample. Here's the blank form in which they would write in. And there was a question on the other form as far as, well, what future choices of courses would you be interested in? Well, at some time, we need to sit down with the student and say, we know you're taking the above courses, but now what courses do you want to take? So it's actually a double column. In grade 10, what do you want to take? In grade 11, what courses? In grade 12, so forth. I had mentioned before that I have a career DNA playbook, 36 pages. In the about page 10 or 11, it starts a section on matching the student's career DNA to courses in high school. If you are a realistic person, you're going to enjoy technology courses, family consumer science, phys ed related courses, so forth, and family consumer science. If you're an investigative person, you're going to enjoy the sciences and math. So there's a section in this playbook that I have that you could use with the students when they start talking about, well, what should I take? It's not so much, well, my friend is taking it or who's teaching it, but it's more so of this is my DNA and these would be good choices. They can certainly step out of the box if they want and take things that don't match their DNA, but it's just a guideline to help them along the way. So that's section 2. Section 3. And I put Mario's picture back in because I thought it was good that we should see him. All right, in section 3, what am I proud of? Projects and awards. There's always usually at some time in a job interview you will be asked, what are you most proud of in your life? What is your greatest achievement? And our students really have a hard time with this because they never think they're going to be asked this question. But yet they should be prepared. They should be prepared to indicate something they've done, approximately what month and year, what type of recognition did they get? Was it public recognition? Was it private? Was it a grade? Was it a trophy? And was it a badge or an award? So here, a class project, the student received a grade, and this student is very proud of successfully completing a 15-page research paper on labor unions in today's workforce, presented paper to class. Mario now has something to talk about. Awards, received an award for school attendance. Teams, public recognition, senior varsity player on school soccer teams, team won county championship. Club activities, public recognition, collected 50 pounds of food for annual school food drive. We need to bring this to their forefront, our students' forefront, that it's good to do these things. They are having major accomplishments. What we need to consider is offering more visual trophies, a badge like this or like this. We talk about in CTE earning industry credentials, which is wonderful. They pass a test, they get a certification, they can put it on their resume. Not all students have that opportunity, but yet all of our students could have an opportunity to to earn badges for doing things within their own school district. So this one particular badge here in red says the name of the school, Career Ready and Employability Ready. Right? Why not have some type of goal for your students to meet, some type of actions over a period of time that would then determine that they have earned the seal of being career ready or workforce ready? Who would recognize that badge? Who creates it? What I suggest is you get your business advisory council to sit around a table and say, what type of benchmarks would you want our students to present to you so that you know this student has met this level of what you're looking for? The employers will give you all sorts of ideas of what it means to be employment ready. And I bet there's not going to be anything in there saying you have to get a 75 in English or an 80 in math, right, or have an SAT score of XYZ. What they're going to be talking about is, has this student demonstrated those 21st century skills? Have they demonstrated good personal life management skills about attendance, behavior, attitude, work ethic, and so forth? So you can create your own badges for your school. Do it with your employers, because as your students go out to the employers and they put the badge on the resume, remember CDOS resume? She had a badge, right? This employer will say, aha, I know what this badge is because I helped in creating it. So think about that. I think every school easily should have 5 different awards, whether in technology, attendance, 21st century skills, whatever you want to create, we need to have them. Item number 4, what careers do I want to explore? All right, well, do they just pull this information out of the air, or do we provide them 4 or more years of career exploration enrichment? Do we bring in classroom guest speakers? There are class projects that have to do with careers, field trips, shadowing, mentoring, competitions that they're involved in, and even virtual career adventures. What we need for them to do, along with our staff who's working with us on this, is we need to document it. For example, if they have a guest speaker in a particular class, now Mario can write, introduced to sales and marketing concepts through class speakers such as Mr. Robert Brown, Flushing Advertising, Mr. Martin Greenstone, owner of Enchanted Parties, and Mr. Mark Goldman, website coordinator of Ad Signs, so forth. So this Mario learned about sales and marketing through guest speakers. Field trips, career exploration to Macy's, Kohl's, Target, and Stop and Shop for retail careers. Why not? That's part of the student's career exploration, and part of the resume. You may remember the section, Learning from the Experts. Or a business focus group. Invite employers in, like focus group participant for Queens Chamber of Commerce. As part of my skills class, we analyzed poster slogans for the use in actual advertising campaigns. So our students can do career activities as a project in a class by inviting someone in to get feedback from the students. Employers love to get feedback from the younger generation to know how their product is read or wanted by the students. Now, we do have a line here about virtual career adventures. Many of you know that I've been very involved with the creation of a program called the Extreme Intern. And this program is available for anyone to use, and there's no charge for it. It was a grant of money that I received to create it, and right now we have over 2,500 students using Extreme Intern. Well, Extreme Intern is a program in which your students could get virtual career exploration. It's not exactly work experience, actual work experience where they're going out hands-on and working someplace, but it's something that can be done in the classroom with you. It can be done with guidance counselors. It's a great summer project to get the students to do over the summer once you get them started. And as an example, there are 2 sections of Extreme Intern. In grades 9 and 10, I recommend that they do Cloud City part of Extreme Intern. If they choose the Marketing Career Cluster, they will be taking the Career Cluster survey in this online adventure, so they'll know what career cluster to go. They will do 3 internships. They actually do activities from the screen that you as the teacher would get back to grade, to talk about. They do a marketing assistant. They do a call center customer service rep. They do an assistant buyer. Now, I know all my work-based learning students know what the letters are at the end of this. We spend 2 weeks in one of our courses on career DNA. Whenever I talk about a job title, I always like to use the DNA letters, because if this is Mario, who's looking at this type of occupation, we want to know if Mario's DNA match these job titles. These letters, where I'm getting them from, is from ONET, from our government, who has taken every single job title and has interpreted the jobs by the letters. Here are the activities the student would do the online. Choose logo for company, completed sales center, purchase of promotional products. They have an opportunity to say, this was a good career match, this was a possible career match, or not sure. So they use the plus signs. So I'll pass over the global planet. I'm looking at the time. Here is a field trip to Macy's department store. Mario liked it, gave it 3 pluses. It's the marketing career cluster, observe stock, customer care, and office operations. So, section number 5. I'll need to move a little faster as I see the time going by. Here's a section now for Mario to actually record his work experiences that occurred outside the building. This section actually matches very well with the employability skills profile. I should say at this time also that I was concerned that I had a lot of material for the career plan and may not get to the employability skills profile today. So I have asked if I could probably stop at the end of the career plan in this presentation, and we've arranged for January 13th to pick up on the employability skill profile. So I know you're probably looking at the time and the materials, so not to worry that we'll get back to that right after the holidays and work on how I would interpret that. So here is the information section for Mario to fill in, the dates, the job title, there's the DNA code, the cluster, where it was, who the supervisor was. This is all important. Our students can't forget this because they could be asked during a job interview. Oh, you worked at Kohl's? Who was your supervisor? TAS, again from ONET. This is the URL that will give you assessments as well as It gives you the task of what Mario would have done as a stock clerk. This information comes right off of the work-based learning training plan and should come out of the employability skill profile. Here's a blank one for Mario to fill in. And I wanted to mention now too, I said before this is a 10-page document. It could go to 20 pages. If you want to keep adding material, just insert it. Don't stop and say we only have room for 2 items. Just add more of these tables. It's okay to be bigger. Work experiences I want to have. Well, let's look forward. Mario has worked at Kohl's, but he still has a couple of years. Maybe he would like to be a marketing assistant because he did that on the Extreme Intern. So as the work-based learning coordinator, I said, you know, our goal then was I'll see if I can set up an internship for you at this advertising marketing company. And maybe next year you'd like to be a social media assistant and you could work in our local EGC media group. The work-based learning coordinator needs to know the names of the employers that are in the community that would be good future work experiences for our students. These people should be part of your business advisory board. Number 6, what skills do I have for employment? This was similar to that big checkoff sheet that was in the other career plan. The skills are coming from the class. They're coming from the clubs, teamwork. As a group for Decker Club, raised $1,000, and coming from work experience. And when you go to ONET, besides getting the job task at ONET will also give you, for the job title, stock clerk, the skills that Mario would be practicing: speaking, active listening, service orientation, social perceptiveness, time management. So instead of grabbing things out of the air, we are going to resources to validate that this is what should happen, what should have done for you while you were there. Mentioned before, SWOT analysis. If you're a marketing person, they do a SWOT analysis before they sell a new product. They talk about what are the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that the product would have if we were to offer it. Well, now in today's world, job interviews have turned into a SWOT analysis. And they will say to the student or the candidate, list 3 strengths you bring to the job. List 3 weaknesses you feel you need to develop. What courses or training do you need to take to resolve these weaknesses? What clubs or internships will you take advantage of to increase your opportunity to succeed in future jobs? And then choose the skills you need to master in order to be successful in this career area. So again, it's another self-assessment of the student knowing more about himself or herself. Okay, I'm glad we're getting to this. I know we've got to get to the answer period time, so we'll get to that. Where am I going? We should have a career timeline for them to realize that if they exit high school at age 18, what are their education, training, employment options they can choose from? What pathways or programs would they take, and what action is needed now? And the same would be that, well, at age 19, 20, where will you be at age 21? Where will you be at age 22? Where will you be at age 25? This should be a written plan. To help them and help you, the information is here. Education and training options, industry credentials they could earn, adult education classes from BOCES or the homeschool, technical school, armed services, 2-year college, 4-year college, whatever it may be, what they can do. And action steps: obtain resources, review materials, time to enter classes, applications, all there. Remember that $250,000 career plan? How do they get there? Well, at age 18, minimum wage now is going up to $8.75, so very soon it's going to be $9 and pretty soon $10. So I started with $10 an hour. If the student, based on full-time employment for 52 weeks of the year, so it's full-time, 52 weeks, not part-time here and there. If they're earning $10 per hour, roughly it's $20,000 a year. So someone with a high school diploma and maybe some little more education or credential would probably go the scale $10 for maybe 2 years, $12 for 2 years, 14, 16, 18 possibly. If you add all of this up, and I jumped from 25 to age 30 actually, so I add extra numbers in there, it came out to $360,000. I was surprised myself how much that would be. Someone with a 2-year college would probably work part-time, but I didn't count that. $15 per hour is usually the rate that a 2-year college grad should ask for or should receive. And here are the numbers, the total $422. And then the 4-year college, probably starting a little higher at 20, ending up with $440. However you do the math, however you want to show it to them, the key is show it to them. Where will they be? They need to plan to get to this point where they are on a career path and they're working full-time. What documents do I need in this career plan portfolio? Here are the things we talked about, all listed there. Didn't get a chance to talk about review. This, I think, again, it should occur several times a year with these different people and dates being put in. And here's the little thing about presentation of GPS career plan to the principal or the advisory board. Right? I truly think that I would ask my students, if I was working with a reasonable size group of kids, that I would say that you're going to present this before you exit our high school. We're going to arrange for an administrator to come, and you're going to sit and explain to the administrator where you're going, what you know, what you can do, where you're going. To me, that's a great final project. It could be your advisory board members. That's even could be better because these are people that may hire the students. So now it's almost like a job interview of the student presenting himself or herself. And then just a section on resources that you would need to do all of this. So I think we're ready. Gretchen, if you are there, I think we're ready for questions.
Yes, we have 2 questions at this time and one what I believe is a comment. So I'll go first with a comment. It came in earlier in the presentation, and it states the Career Zone portfolio modules populate the SED career plan document.
Could you just read that again, please?
Yes, it's a comment, and she thinks the Career Zone portfolio modules populate the New York SED career plan document.
Yes, and I should have said that in the beginning too, that the career plan the state has suggested is part of the New York State Career Zone, and that you can fill in those items as you go along. My concern and my hope is that we need to provide those extra resources for them to put in information that's based on assessments and not something they're guessing at. How about the next question?
Okay. The GPS career plan designates grades 9 through 12. Couldn't some of these sections begin at the middle school level?
By all means, as I said in the beginning, that make this your career plan for your students. If you feel you have the time and you have the staff that you can work with and you want to start this, why not? It's just want to get them going towards their end goal, their destination.
Okay. And the final question is, I was a work-based learning coordinator when I received my permanent teaching certification. I have a new business teaching position and would like to know if I can be grandfathered.
If I remember correctly, you needed to be a practicing work-based learning coordinator in the year 2004 when they adjusted or changed the certification laws. If you were not actually practicing in 2004, you would need to take the 2 certification classes. But I'm not the end resource on that. Cheryl Winstell in the State Education Department, I would rather have that individual contact Cheryl and make sure that what I've said is correct. Okay?
Okay, we have one more question.
I was sure I would get more questions. Where are my students out there?
We still have a few minutes. The next question is, what ideas do you have to make the career plan web-based?
Well, you know, in my 2 online work-based learning courses, I have my teachers, students, actually create Google websites as we go along through the course. We do that for two reasons. One, to learn how to use a free Google website, and two, to store resources. So my thought is, if I was going to do this with students and a reasonable number of students, I probably would work with them and put this up on a Google website for each of them. And then they will have something that they truly have transportable that they can access at any time, as well as teachers would be able to access, given the ability and to add things to it. So I would go with Google. Certainly you could go to your school district and talk to your computer experts and say, is there some way we can put this on in a web format? It's not really that difficult. You have a Word document that could be put in there that's a form. It's basically a form, and it can be filled and populated. Anything else?
We have a comment, but perhaps you can provide some insight into this. The comment is, I work with the incarcerated population. My challenge is transferring these concepts into that environment.
The challenge is to transfer these concepts. Well, I'm going to assume that these young people are taking classes, so that just as a course or something, so they are going to be developing the 21st century skills. If you're talking about work experience, I know there are a number of people who are in a similar employment situation, and they have activities ongoing on the campus where these students work in different areas. So that could be recorded. And I also know that there are times where students are allowed to leave the facility and work outside under supervision. So that would be a third possibility. And don't forget the extreme intern. The extreme intern will take them around the world.
Okay, great. You don't have any more questions at this time. So with that, I'd like to thank you, Sue.
All right, and just want to remind everybody that January 13th we'll send out information again after the first of the year to register, right, Gretchen?
Yes.
Right, and we'll pick up right with the employability skills profile. I apologize if that was the first item that you wanted to hear about, and I encourage anybody to email me about the work-based learning classes. I have my email, hold on a second, put it up here, or the Career DNA booklet. So here I am, Sue at careersmarts.com. Be happy to send you that, and anything else that I can help you with.
Great. With that, I'd like to thank everyone on behalf of the Technical Assistance Center for attending today. And as a reminder, this webinar will be archived at nyctecenter.org under Instructional Resources.
Okay. Have a happy holiday, everybody. Keep warm.